And we're live in 3, 2, 1. Hi, Book of Face. It is your global sparkly one here, your happiness coach. And today I want to go live. It's a surprise live because I don't normally go live at night, but surprise! Let's be fun, right? I wanted to go live to answer a question that was sent to me via private message. And the question was, let me just write something down here. The question was, how do I stay so positive? Right. Well, that's a big, all the stuff behind it is quite big, quite large, quite in depth. I know there's a lot of people here who are new to my world, and this is definitely a learned skill for me. So for those of you that don't know too much about me, I spent a long time being a high-functioning depressed personality. Lots of times where I didn't want to be here, lots of times I took action on that. And, 35 years of telling myself one thing about who I was took a bit of unraveling. So to get started, I want to talk about there's chunks that can get you started on being more positive, right? So this isn't a cure for depression or anything like that, but it's a starting point. Now, as I said in the comments, start with a big chunk and let's have a trickle on down effect, right? So I want to talk about three things. 1, 2, 3, 3. I did that once. I put up 4 fingers. The people were confused. But I want to talk about 3 points today. And the first one is identity, right? The biggest thing that you can do is if you're identifying as something that isn't positive, is to think, how else could I choose to identify in this moment? What is another identity that I could choose to start developing and start filling into, or get really curious about living as, to get me started on the road to feeling more positive about who I am and about my life? Because identity is the big chunk, right? Because this is who we are. This is us, right? Now, we are with ourselves 24 hours a day. And it doesn't matter what other people are saying. If we're choosing not to listen, or we're deciding that that can't be us, it's really hard to look externally for that shift. So your identity is your responsibility. Sorry. Sadly, I don't have a magic wand to just go and change your identity for you. Identity starts with you. But the exciting thing is you get a choice, right? You get to choose. And every day, like, my identity is no longer high-functioning depressed personality person. My identity is global sparkles, like the happiness coach, the person who is here with a purpose and a mission, and somebody who wants to make a difference, right? That's my identity. That's the identity that I breathe into every day, because I understand that neurologically, I've wired in a lot of not positive neural pathways in my brain, and they sometimes, they go to that's the path of least resistance with thinking. Now, I'm not going to go into neurology and everything right now, but identity is the first thing that you want to be thinking of and be aware of and be curious about, and start deciding and start looking and see how you turn up as that identity. Because then the next step number 2, is focus, right? So if you've been around in personal development, you would have heard the saying, what I focus on expands. If you haven't been around personal development, coaching, or anything, your brain determines what you see. Your focus, your identity, and then your focus determine how you see your day, how things show up for you. You can Google the reticular activating system. This is the part of the brain that deletes, distorts, and generalizes all of the information hitting your unconscious. That is the part of the brain that decides what is important. Now, if you're identifying as somebody who is high-functioning, depressed, unhappy, sad, your brain is going to filter to find evidence to prove that to be true. Your focus is critical. I choose to focus on positive things. I start my day, right? Before I even get out of bed, before I even open my eyes, I decide how I want to feel. Every morning when I sit down at my desk, I write 3 things that I'm really grateful for, because that shifts the focus. If something didn't work that I wanted to work yesterday, I shift the focus back onto the gratitude. There is a whole thing around the power of gratitude. For now, trust me, gratitude works. And I focus on the good. I focus on the identity. I focus on how I want to show up. I focus on how I want to feel, right? I'm grateful. And this is a ritual. And if you watched the live I did yesterday, I talk about rituals, intention, ritual, like the process, right? Fall in love with the process. So identity is the first one. That trickles down into your focus. You get to focus on what you want, because what you focus on expands. So choose wisely. And then from there, you have a choice. You're not trapped. You're no longer a victim. It's not external circumstances. It's called law of cause and effect. You're not an effect of things around you. You can step up and be courageously at cause for how you're feeling and what's happening in your life. So it's identity, focus, and choice. And you'll find that when you step back into choice and you're choosing it from a positive identity and a positive focus, things can't help but start to change. Sometimes a little gently. Sometimes you might notice that it's quite dramatic how these things start changing for you. But these are the 3 things for those of you that are looking to consciously decide to be more positive. These are the 3 starting points that I would recommend for you. Identity, focus, choice. And this is the kind of stuff, along with the physiology and the mindset, the emotional, this is the stuff that we do in alignment. And, the doors close on Friday for this first round. Like, if you need support to create these shifts and changes, get support, whether it's from me, whoever. Like, whoever you get support from, you do not have to do this alone, especially if you're feeling quite depressed. If you are still stuck in that identity of a high-functioning depressed personality. I did it the hard way. I spent 10 plus years going out on my own, attempting to figure it out and not asking for help. So, look around, like, world-class champions, they all have coaches, they all have support, they all have mentors. Why do you feel you need to do it alone? So the trickle-down effect of choosing to be positive, this is your starting point. And for the person who messaged me, I do this every single day, because I was in the past that person who just could not see any joy in her life. So I feel for you where you're at. And I just wish that somebody had give me a little shake and tell me some of this stuff a little sooner. But what's that saying about planting trees? A year ago was the best time. Today is now the best time if you didn't plant a tree a year ago. So let's get to it. Identity, focus, choice, right? That's at a trickle-down effect. You get to choose. Any questions, please post in the comments, or if you're feeling a little uncomfortable posting in the comments, please message me. And for the people that have just logged on, we're talking about identity, focus, and choice, and the trickle-down effect that you can get to be more positive. I do suggest, if this topic is of interest to you, or you know somebody who needs to hear it, please share it. Please share it. Because I know there's so many people out there who are just going through the motions. You don't have to just go through the motions of life. Trust me. After some of the things that I've lived, you do not have to just go through the motions. Identity, focus, choice. You get to decide. Anyway, it's time for me to go. I'm going out for dinner. And yeah, please, any questions? If you want to know about alignment, message me, post in the comments. I am here as your happiness coach to help you. And the road doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be scary. And it doesn't have to be lonely. I gotcha. All right. All right. Laters, gators.